sandwich, and it helps them to slide in. And you just start hammering on it, right? And you hammer and you hammer and you hammer, and when you hear that, it will break that. Then not run, but move back at a 45-degree angle from your cut. So if it did barber chair and come straight back, it's not going to hit you. If it does one of those weird kind of, I'm going to just do a pirouette off the stump and does like say I've seen it happen with leaners where, like, for example, you see this tree is all twisty. You got the bottom of it. See, this tree wants to go that way there, but up there it wants to go that way, and somewhere up there it wants to go that way. So this thing is probably gonna go pirouette and come back at you. If a barber chair as well is doing that, it's like, you know, like a blender flying at you, right? A wooden blender flying at you. So this is probably the safest way to take down that tree. Now, okay, back to the cut again. We do our face cut. We got the flat here, about 10% of the tree. We leave 2 inches. Okay, again, I know it's going to be a hydro pole. We do our plunge cut. We go all the way through. We come back to about that 2 inch. We pull that out. We put a, depending on you're going to have to figure this out for yourself, which is the most comfortable way with your saw. I'll grab the saw in a second to show you. You're going to put your wedge in there, and then you're going to cut maybe about 1.5 inches, 2 inches below that strap that's holding the pole, tree pole, whatever. Okay, and then you're going to cut somewhere right around here underneath. So when this lets go, the chain doesn't get caught on that lip from the inside and take the saw, you and the saw with it, right? You don't want a high RPM saw being ripped out of your hand like that because, you know, reasons, right? You know, that whole death thing, you know. So that's another way to do it. The other way is, you don't have any wedges. If you think you're probably able to get away with it, is you plunge through and you come out, and then when you get to about here and you feel that it's about to snap, just give her. You give her and you come out as, you know, nice smooth action. You come out and then move off to a 45-degree angle from your tree. So the idea is, here's the tree. You're gonna go that way. You're gonna go that way or that way, not back. You're gonna go 45. You don't go 90 because the tree the thing can roll. You go 45, 45. Clear your safety path first. Now I'll show you about holding the saw. Again, I'm going to be doing a series of cuts. You can find them on YouTube and stuff like that. Just research how to fall a leaner. Do 2 weeks of research on that. Go out and experiment on a couple of like really dinky little trees. But little trees are just as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than bigger trees. Now, I don't think that pole is going to collapse on you or whatever. But if we look at a hydro pole, that's a pretty beefy thing, right? The other thing is, at the base, look for nails and shit. For whatever reason, people feel that they have to put as many nails in hydro poles, you know, staples, nails, you know, people putting posters up, shit like that. You know, all kinds of stuff like that. So I'm going to grab Mini Beast. Or should I grab... I'll grab Mini Beast because Mini Beast is the life saw here. And I'll show you a couple of things. So this is your hydro pole. We're going to pretend it's leaning. So I'm going to give you the visualize of what the stump is going to look like when you're done. So we're going to grab Mini Beast here. And thanks for the question anyway, buddy. You know, like, thanks for having like confidence in my crazy abilities. Again, I'm not the best at this. It's just I've done it, and I know what I don't know. You know, I know how much I don't know. You know what I mean? So it's something you always have to learn. So we're gonna grab our little. So this is a good representation here, and of what we're going to be looking at. Okay, so when your stump is left, you're going to have like a thing like this going right across, right? That's called your hinge. Okay, so our hinge is going to be roughly about 10% of our cut, right? So there's our hinge. Okay, so if I'm cutting, so the fangs here, you can see my handle's off to one side. If you're lucky and you have a wraparound handle, life is going to be a lot easier for you. But if not, you're predominantly going to be cutting like this. So for your plunge cut, you're going to start, you don't go straight in like that, because that thing is going to come around and cut your leg off. What you can do is you're going to start like this, let it go in about, say, that far, and then start walking around it. Don't try to turn it, just walk around with it. Because what you want to do is, see where my legs are? I don't want my legs under the saw at all. If that kicks out, I lose my legs. You know, people will laugh at you, call you stumpy, but you're probably not going to enjoy it. So you go there, you go there. Once he's about there and you feel it kind of bogging a bit, go slow at first and then just move your way in. And then he comes out the other side. Once he's out the other side, you're good. You can start coming back, come back, come back, come back. Hopefully I'm getting this here. Come back, come back. Leave it about there. Pull this out. Shut her off. Take yourself a 5. You've got this much holding your leaner left. Okay. Let's grab our wedge. So our wedge is going to be... What the hell am I going to use for a wedge here? I have wedges around here somewhere. I've got an axe here. The axe will work. I just need an axe head. I know where there's an axe head. I don't recommend axe heads because they're usually not wide enough. You need something that you can, you know, that you know is going to break that strap, right? Ow. That's not easy on the thumb. That is not easy on the... That was horrible. Very horrible experience. Okay. Thought I had a wedge in here. Something I can use in. Anyway. Oh, there it is right there. Ask and you shall receive. Now these old metal ones, get the plastic ones if you have to buy them. These old metal ones, the problem is if your chain hits it. Okay, so you've left that, okay? Now what you could do is you start banging that sucker in, okay? And if there's not enough wedge there, think about where your saw is going to have to be if it has to go back in there. So don't do it on this side, because if you do it on this side, now you got to cut back like this, which is okay, but for a beginner, I would go this way, just because reasons of easier, right? You cut through, you walk your 45 degree. So when you start, okay, you've got that in. If you're lucky and you pound it, that'll break this tab right here and it'll just go by itself. And you've got like about a 2-inch thick, about, you know, whatever it's going to pull out, depends, maybe it's rotted, who knows, 2 inches thick about here, you know, and that will hinge the pole to let it down kind of lightly, right? Now if you just come into the back, you'd say, why not just come into the back? Okay, let's put our, this will be our hinge. Okay, so we've cut up to the hinge. Okay, we're just going to cut in like this, like a normal tree. So you got your tree, you've got your hinge right there, you've got your face cut, and you start cutting around, you're cutting around, you stay on your buck, and you're coming through, you're coming through, you're coming through, and somewhere around here you might come like that, and then keep hers even, because you want that hinge even, so it falls uniform. On a normal tree, this is no problem. Somewhere even probably around here, the tree will start lifting, and somewhere around here, it might even start to go, and then usually by the time you get to the hinge, hopefully you've seen that. So yeah, let's do that again. So you're coming in from the back, so you make a line. What you can do is on the outside of it, just go like that with the saw, like maybe about the middle of the bar, and make a line to cut. Draw it with a pencil, I don't care, whatever works for you, just for your first one, so you have a reference. You know, once you get used to it, you just do it. You don't need it. So you're coming in and you got your cut about there. Once it gets about there, the tree, like I say, you're about there, the tree's going to start to lift up, or in this case, the whatever is going to start to lift up, and you're going to go to the line. Try not to do one of these things, because what'll happen is it could, you know, you want to leave that tab right across. So just be mindful if you have to stop and look around to see where your bar is at. And if you can't see your bar, just kind of take a guesstimate so that the tab is still there. And then when you get about there, it'll start to lift up, and then suddenly down goes the pole or the tree or whatever. But the problem with that, with a leaner, is, again, if that thing snaps and starts to barber on you, the front of the tree wants to go, but the back of the tree sits back on the saw. Ask me how I know. Ask me how I know, right? So that's why I have several rescue saws. So when you get it caught in a tree. So the safest method is pound it in. Think about the handle where it's going to be, and you can come in like this and go out like this, or you can come to this side here. Be very careful that you don't hit that if you're going to go that method. You could put it on the other side. Problem is that once you jam that thing in there, it's going to stay in there, and if that tab doesn't break loose, let's say you got it all the way in but the post is rotten, it just basically goes in there, sits there like a sponge. The good news is, you know, it's not going to come back on your saw because this will hold it up. But the bad news is it didn't break this tab. So now you got to come in like this and start removing that like that, right? it's a lot more of a trickier cut just because of the way you have to hold the saw. So the motion you're going to see is if you go at this setup, again, some people might say don't try that setup, it's the worst setup ever. It's going to be dangerous no matter what you do. So you got that in there. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like, kind of from what angle. Yeah, we'll try to get a side angle here. This looks like a camera stand. Oh, that's a heavy camera stand. That's a heavy camera stand. So our camera stand's like this. Okay, so got my saw. I did my notch, nice and even. Do the top, about 10% of the tree. If you have to, even if you have to do it a couple of times, and then like this. Even if you have to do a couple of bites, just so that if you go in too much, what happens is that the saw gets jammed. So you come in, stay off to the side of the saw a bit, come in like that. Use this line here on your saw where you want it to fall. So you do that, okay? And you come in, you clean it out, you make it even. So we've done that, okay? So now, doing my plunge cut, I'm gonna be off here, whatever. And in like this, okay? Now I'm coming through. I'm on the other side of the saw, so if it kicks back, it's not gonna, okay, up through the other side. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start coming back. Okay, so I'm coming back, I'm gonna look, okay, there's about 2 inches left, okay? I'm gonna pull out my saw, leave it running, just put the brake on.